Well, welcome, and welcome to the 2024 UW Library Student Employee Scholarship Celebration. My name is Simon Neame, and I have the absolute pleasure of serving as the Dean of Libraries here at UW, and I'm very pleased to be with you here today to celebrate a vital part of our library's success, which is our student employees. At this moment, I would just like to do a very important thing we do at the UW, which is a land acknowledgement. I'd like to start by acknowledging the land where we work, the university libraries, and the University of Washington gratefully acknowledge the Coast Salish peoples of this land, the land that touches the shared waters of all tribes and bands within the Duwamish, Puyallup, Suquamish, Tulalip, and Muckleshoot nations. Thank you. So I'd like to welcome some of all our special guests who are joining us today. First of all, to all our student scholarship recipients, congratulations on this well-deserved honor. And I'll point out that you can recognize our student scholarship recipients by their fabulous gold name tags. So they're glittering from here, so it looks very amazing. I would also like to welcome Provost Tricia Serio, who's joining us today, as well as all of our UW faculty and staff who are here. Thank you for sharing time to celebrate these incredible students. Former friends of the UW Libraries Board members who are steadfast supporters and advocates for the Student Scholarship Program, and to all our donors who make this award possible. So welcome to all. I'm going to take a moment just to talk a little bit about the history of this award. So the Library Student Employee Scholarship Program was created 26 years ago. And since then, and of course with support from our amazing donors, the scholarship program has quadrupled its impact. So from initially 5 students in 1998 to 50 students today. So just an amazing growth. So to date, we have awarded over $440,000 to 465 students. So amazing impact to this program. Today, our 50 student awardees will each receive a $1,000 scholarship in recognition of their incredible work ethic, creativity, and commitment to excellence. Thank you to all who have contributed to this very special initiative. So now I have the great pleasure to introduce Provost Serio, who will share a few remarks with us today.
Thank you, Simon, and thank you all for joining us here today for this happy occasion. I'm pleased to be here along with Dean Neame and, of course, Professor James Davenport in celebration of such an accomplished team of UW students and to celebrate their contributions to our impact. As Provost, I strive to advocate for the needs of the university community, to facilitate connections across the amazing breadth of our excellence on the campus, and to integrate our work with the communities beyond the boundaries of our campus. For me, this is really all about creating opportunities for faculty, staff, and students to thrive and to transform their own passions and talents into far-reaching impact in the world. And for me, the libraries are foundational to every aspect of this mission and the work that we do, from teaching to research to clinical care to community service. The libraries provide access to vast resources and tools and training for all students, faculty, and our greater UW community, including scholars around the world. The impact is so far-reaching. The libraries often take a lead in promoting our mission. Since I arrived on campus last summer, I've been spending some focused time visiting different schools and colleges and units across the campus. And I had the opportunity to spend a few hours with the libraries, which were incredibly meaningful to me. During those discussions, one of the things that we focused on was the importance of the libraries as a source of authentic and unbiased information that can really be a support and help to the members of our university community, especially as we're learning and grappling with current events that can be difficult. So I really want to thank the libraries for their leadership in putting together a resource guide on the Israel-Hamas war, and for highlighting international sources of information to promote engagement across our campuses during this difficult time. This is exactly the kind of thing that makes a world-class library like we have here at the university so impactful for our own community. So I thank you for that. I know that everyone here recognizes that providing this access to information is an immense endeavor. And it requires teams of librarians and staff to create user-centered programs, to foster collaboration, to promote equity, and to embrace creativity and stored resources. And it also depends on the people we're here today to recognize, our library student employees. Library student employees with the gold tags, I'm really jealous of, they're spectacular, come from disciplines all across the university. In fact, 70% of them are studying in fields outside of information and library science, from psychology to public health, computer science to music, and many more majors. 40% of student employees are graduate students, often working on their capstone projects related to their own work at the library, and in areas such as user-centric design, open pedagogy, data science, marketing, communications, and many more disciplines. So through their individual achievements and dedication to excellence, this year's scholarship recipients demonstrate the value that diverse perspectives bring to our libraries and to our campuses, because they are experts in so many fields. Student employees are the backbone of library operations, contributing to every facet of our system. Student employees are often the first point of contact at the public service locations in the libraries. And behind the scenes, they improve systems, spaces, and services, the impact of which is felt long after their employment and graduation. At the same time, their contributions go far beyond operations. As Simon noted earlier, these student employees are project leaders, peer mentors, and teachers in their own right. So I want to thank you to all the students here today, and congratulations to our student scholarship recipients. Your work is truly vital to both the libraries and to the university. And I also want to take a moment to thank our donors, including many current and retired librarians, library staff who have contributed to these scholarships, and to library staff and partners who encourage and mentor our student employees every day. All of you empower our students and support them to bring their very best to their scholarship and their work, benefiting our entire UW community and beyond. So thank you all very much, and congratulations to all the scholarship awardees.
Thank you, Provost Serio, for those remarks. It's wonderful. So as the Provost mentioned, our student employees here in the libraries are vital to the delivery of our programs, services, operations, and we rely on them a great deal to be able to function. I can say that as a library administrator, our students are absolutely key. Right now we have more than 265 student employees working in the libraries, and that's across all 3 of our campuses. And as you heard, both undergraduate and graduate students, our student employees are vital to our staffing. And while each student's perspective and experience may vary, depending on what library they work in, what type of work they do, a common theme that we heard across all the applicants for the scholarship was an expression of growth, of mindset, and confidence building that their work at the libraries has really brought out. And that's really manifested itself in, as I say, in the applicants and what we were able to read. And that, to me, is just so fantastic, because it's not only a job, it's more than just a job. It's an opportunity to start to enter the workforce and to learn more about yourself in the process. I'd like to share just a few examples of the types of work that our student staff have been doing this year. And there's so many. I could spend an hour just talking about that. But here's a few examples. For example, our students supported the creation of the Open Scholarship Commons Community Fellowship Workshop Series. They launched a peer-based workshop series for underrepresented graduate students. Developed a new partnership to teach research workshops in local high schools. Conducted user testing and assessment to redesign various library websites. That work is extremely important and always great to have the student perspective in that. And played a major role in creating library exhibits. So that included writing, research, design, and promotion. On behalf of all libraries, staff, and leadership, I'd like to extend my sincere appreciation to each and every one of today's honorees. Thank you for your contributions, and once again, congratulations to all. So it's now my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Professor Davenport. Professor James Davenport himself was a library student employee back in 2004 and 2005, and is currently a research assistant professor in the UW Astronomy department, and is the associate director of the DiRAC Institute. And I will say, if you get a chance to ask Professor Davenport about asteroids, telescopes, and big data, it is truly fascinating. All right, it's my pleasure. Please, David.
Let me start by also offering my congratulations to you all. I'm the Associate Director of the DiRAC Institute, and because we work in outer space, that's a really labored acronym for the Data Intensive Research in Astrophysics and Cosmology Institute. So it rolls off the tongue, it's very easy to remember. The DiRAC Institute is housed within the Astronomy department, and our mission is to bring sort of the nexus of big data and computer science and all the algorithms and tool developments and data science innovations that have been happening across campus and in Seattle, to bring that to bear with astronomy, with imaging data of the night sky. Our flagship project right now is the Rubin Observatory, the Vera C. Rubin Observatory, which will go online in Chile in about a year. And it will conduct a 10-year movie of the night sky in sort of HD, and look for anything that changes or moves or varies or is unusual. This will be an overwhelming amount of information, which is exactly why I think it's a good thing to talk about to a bunch of librarians who care about organizing information and understanding it. One of the things that I'm really excited about as a stellar astronomer by training, not that I'm an amazing astronomer, but I study stars. A stellar astronomer, a variable star astronomer, I look for stars that change. Our sun changes slowly over time, thankfully not very quickly, but it rotates and it moves. There are flares and cool and hot spots on it. It is a variable and dynamic object, and all the stars in the sky, if you look carefully enough, are variable and change and wiggle around and do really curious, interesting, astrophysically interesting things. 50 years ago, the study of astronomy was largely, you would go to a telescope, you would maybe look through it, or maybe take a photographic plate and take a picture of something, and then you would bring it back to your lab and study it, and it was very expensive. You'd have to travel, sometimes by boat, to bring equipment to a telescope up a mountain, and then bring it all the way back to a city, develop that photographic plate in a dark room environment, and then study it, right? This is obviously not how we do it anymore, right? We have these innovations, like your phone, and all the technology in here, which underpins all of modern astronomy as well, right? There's a very, there's a very high-performance computer inside of this, powerful enough to send you and to calculate orbits to another planet. There are multiple cameras with lenses, right? The digital camera technology revolution that has enabled so many lovely things in our lives, and the picture of my kids, has also enabled the collection of digital images and digital data within astronomy, which has provided us, right, an overwhelming amount of data that we need to organize. One of the things that I'm very excited about as a stellar astronomer in the next decade is that for the first time, in about a year and a half, I think, maybe 2 years, we will have cataloged and mapped over 10 billion stars, which is more stars than there are people. That doesn't mean anything. It's not a special, magical number. But to me, it resonates that at that point, anything that you thought was interesting is now mundane. Anything that we had one of in our data sets, one example of, we now have 10 or 100 or 1,000, right? And so like writing books about people and writing stories about people and histories about people, you have to start being very selective about what you write and what are the stories that we're going to tell. And this is changing the way that we're doing astrophysics. Some of it becomes more akin to demographic work now, where we do statistics and look for outliers and subtle trends. Some of it becomes deep dives, deep exposés, or reflections on a single object, or a single cluster, or a set of objects that are very special, or maybe just near and dear to somebody's heart. Telling these kinds of very focused stories about small bits of the sky is, I think, what the future of astronomy looks like. And so that means that integrated into astronomy now is the need to ask good questions, which is a hard skill. Answering them is a related but different question, a different skill rather. And then having the access to the tools and the data sets and the methods to do those kinds of questions and answers is something that we are all struggling to keep up with. And this is why we're trying to bring computer scientists and information scientists and data scientists together with domain scientists to figure out how we can ask good questions of this new kind of data that is now sitting on hard drives instead of in the photographic plates. Okay, so this is what we're doing now in astronomy. This is the sort of revolution that's going on right in front of us and down in observatories like in Chile. 20 years ago, this was all underway and was being developed, but I was, just a lowly undergrad trying to find my way, thinking that I wanted to be an astronaut or something, and trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my future. And I was a library employee right here in Suslo at Central Circulation. My wife was an employee down in the map collections, that one used to be in the basement. And it was the perfect job for us as student employees, right? It allowed us the flexibility around midterms and finals. It gave us, enough money to have recreational activities on the weekends. And it gave us a relationship with the university that I think was sort of unique, right? I had friends that worked in housing and food services or worked in bars on the app or whatever, but this was a unique relationship with the university at the same time when I was just dipping my toes into research and to science and to what it meant to be a scientist and trying those kinds of hats on for the first time. I had this firsthand look at how information is stored and how it develops and stays in the university. I would say I did not win the library award. It was only in its maybe 5th year at the time, but I did not win one. And that's probably because I was not the greatest library employee at the time. I certainly did not shelve the most numbers of carts of books. I did help with a lot of the we were moving giant chunks of the collection from one side of the Allen to another. At one point, we were bringing things between floors. There was a water leak at one point on the 4th floor in Suslo, and that meant we had to very quickly move a lot of books out of there. And I spent some time at the auxiliary stacks in Sandpoint, which is a completely fascinating warehouse that you should go visit at some point. But the thing that happened to me, usually when I would pick up a shift in the libraries, is that I would get lost, that I would come wander around the stacks, and I would take my little cart and pretend to shelve them, and then I would actually sit there and try to read and study the books, and I would fall in love with some random thing that I knew nothing about. And so on my way up here, I sort of did the same thing, and I apologize to whoever monkey you have to shelve this afterwards, because I realized that it's probably something that hasn't been checked out in a very long time, but maybe it needed a good look. I went just looking, I think on the 3rd floor on the way up here, and I found the Proceedings of the Royal Geographic Society from 1859. This is the 3rd volume of this. And I'm not a geographer, but I cracked it open just to see what was in here, and flipped through the index, and flipped through the pages, and there's this wonderful entry. It's a very short entry, just a half page here and here, which I won't read to you, but it's on a note on a new projection of the sphere, which is complaining from one geographer to another, a whiny complaining letter, written, very faithfully yours, J.F.W. Herschel, written complaining about how they were making a graph of data on a sphere from, I think, a map that was published earlier that year. And I love that. I love that this is not a consequential story. This was a small complaining thing, but it's captured here, right? It's saved here. This is from 1859. right? Long before we were here, long before any of the buildings on this campus were here. Certainly there were people here studying the night sky, thinking about the world, but none of us. And I hope this book will remain here for another 200 years. This is what the libraries do, right? This J.F.W. Herschel was incidentally, the son of William Herschel, who was the famed astronomer who discovered Uranus. And so I thought it was really interesting to find his name here amongst the geographers. He himself was, it turns out, according to Wikipedia 10 minutes ago, he himself was an astronomer who followed in his dad's footsteps and chased science and wrote whiny missives about how people should correctly plot things on a sphere using the Mercator projection. But that's what we do. That is what the life in the academy is, right? It's about asking good questions. Sometimes it's about discussing them with your colleagues. And we have to think about them, we have to write them down, or they don't exist. And so the life in astronomy, the life in the academy, has turned into writing and publishing. I don't write enough, and I don't publish enough, as all the ideas that flow through my head pass through the stars. But it's nice to know, and it's reassuring to know, that the libraries will make every little thing that I write, every whiny thing that I write, hopefully not everything that I write on Twitter perhaps, but every little thing that I write professionally will be here and will outlast us. We ask libraries, I think, an impossible thing. We ask them to be the permanent vault of knowledge in every domain. My thesis, my PhD thesis is somewhere in there. I don't even have a copy of it, except for on my hard drive. I gave my last copy to my grandparents. But it's somewhere either here or at Sandpoint. That's important to me. We expect that to be here forever. At the same time, we expect it to be this sacred temple of learning and reflection and introspection where I can come, and I still come, and I sit in the reading room when I need to write that grant application or that thing that requires focus. I still come here, and I reflect, and I focus, and I try to get crunch time done outside of my office where I have a quiet, sacred space to reflect and learn. And at the same time, we expect it to be a hub of innovation. Downstairs, we have commons and learning experiences and dynamic places for people to explore their data and to collaborate, which is the opposite of quietly reflecting. And I love the signs now that say this is a shush space and this is a conversation space. I appreciate that because now you know what use of each space is. These are three things that are sort of in tension, and yet we expect all of them of the libraries. And that means all of you have to make all of those things happen. And so I thank you for continuing to make all of those things happen. So I love the libraries. They, I think, are the heart of the university. They are the heart of what we are trying to do in every domain, from astrophysics, my wife was a history major. Everything that we do is captured here. Everything that happens here happens because of you all. They give permanence to the work. They mean that when we look for things that require 200 years to reflect on, we still know, people still plot on Mercator projection incorrectly, incidentally, in astronomy and geography. When we reflect on these things, the knowledge is captured and it's still here for us, and it means there are lessons still to be learned. And so I will close by saying thank you for inviting me, and congratulations to all of you. Thank you.
Okay, we'll resell it. All right, well, thank you again. As I say, I really enjoy listening to James talk about the universe and telescopes and also asteroids, although that scares me a bit. But I'll tell you how close they come to us. You don't want to know. Well, now I'd like to turn to meeting some of our honorees. As Tricia mentioned earlier, our student employees span all disciplines and varied degree programs in the arts, sciences, and the humanities. Our awardees include 29 undergraduates and 21 graduate students, and they work at all three UW campuses, and that includes our university press as well. So if you are a scholarship student, would you please stand up now, just so we can, beyond your name tags, we can identify you. And I just thank everyone. So ideally, we'd love to hear from all of our scholarship recipients today, but for the sake of time, we have asked three of our recipients to speak on behalf of the group by introducing themselves and reading their scholarship essays. So it is my pleasure to turn the floor over to Braden Reed, Hannah Morrison, and Raina Manzano to share their essays. And I don't know who wants to start, if you want to start in the order. Braden, can you start first? Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Braden Reed. I'm a junior here at UW studying community environment and planning. And as far as my work in UW Libraries goes, I'm the student communications specialist, so I work up in the administrative department, follow UW Libraries on all platforms. And I'm very excited to be here today. Thank you so much for this opportunity. When I applied to work at the UW Libraries, I didn't anticipate much of a change to my worldview. Like most broke college students, I wanted a job, and eagerly applied when I saw my position listing hiding in the corners of the library's website. Student communications specialist. I knew how to use Canva, make an Instagram post, write stories. This sounded perfect for me. As a creative person, I was excited to design campaigns and create content that provided informational value to others. I planned my first social media campaign series entitled Meet the UW Libraries. I taught myself how to create a social media analytics report, which strengthened my data analytics skills and motivated me to potentially explore social media marketing as a professional path. Working on various projects, I talked with librarians across campus and got an in-depth look at the vast library resources and unique features. I, like many others, had no idea that ODE has a recording studio and was excited to share this resource with my fellow students. I improved my communication skills and learned how to organize administrative responsibilities, which I benefited from immensely across all of my classes when managing heavier academic coursework. Exploring the multifaceted role of the UW Libraries within the campus and greater community, I found myself increasingly fascinated by the values that libraries provide. So fascinated, in fact, that I studied Dutch libraries abroad over last summer. This was an incredibly enriching experience, and I returned to UW full of inspiration, excited to use my newfound perspective in my work. Aside from my personal and academic journey, other aspects of my life have also benefited from my experiences at the UW Libraries. I'm a resident advisor on campus, working with numerous new students every year. Due to my vast knowledge of UW Libraries and partner resources, I'm able to refer students to opportunities or support for nearly everything. I've found student job offerings and other opportunities through my work, and networked with the people who were a good fit, some of whom went on to get the job. I have found many exhibits, collections, and events that I was personally interested in, which adds an extra element of enjoyment to my professional UW Libraries work. Overall, my experience working at the UW Libraries has been transformative for my personal, academic, and professional growth, impacting my past activities, current skill sets, and future prospects for my transition into the modern workplace. With all of these experiences and more, I can confidently say that I gained more than just a job from working with the UW Libraries. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Hannah Morrison, and I'm a first-year graduate student in the Master of Library and Information Science program. And I currently work in Odegaard Undergraduate Library as a student assistant. I also newly work in special collections in the Pacific Northwest Collection. And I'd really like to acknowledge and thank all of my supervisors and the technicians and student employees at Odegaard for making it a wonderful place to work and be. All right. Working in archives, often remotely or in tiny two-person offices, I've spent lots of time interacting with records, getting to know their ins and outs, sharing the contents of my thoughts with the silent interlocutors of spreadsheets and transcription software. But the goal of this work is ultimately to contribute to something the public might access. My hard work was filed away for a later date, for an invisible future researcher and a question they might have about Hungarian language Holocaust testimonies. While I still love archives and value this type of service within the information field, working at Odegaard Undergraduate Library during my MLIS degree at UW has given me the special experience of participating in a highly active library environment. My role is specifically to be an up-to-date and friendly resource for curious, sleep-deprived undergraduates as they come in wondering about the newest fiction additions to the first floor display, what kind of recording equipment to check out for use in our sound studio, or simply, where are the bathrooms? These library needs feel very alive, and it's satisfying being able to provide direct answers and see the impact that an open institution of knowledge can have. the relief that spreads across a patron's face when the printer finally works, the triumph in a first-year student who successfully used a call number to locate a book in the stacks, and the pride for me in being a designated person to fill knowledge gaps and preserve the institution of face-to-face interactions for academic research. All of these information exchanges are located squarely within the present tense, while still building upon the past research and historical institutional knowledge held within Odegaard's brutalist walls. One night, late night, a most memorable patron interaction occurred when two students, first timidly, then more comfortably, approached the information desk to ask how the UK was organized and whether England and the United Kingdom were separate countries, because they wanted to use the correct terms for their economics assignment. Geography, and specifically concepts such as country borders and official delineations, is a favorite hobby of mine, and this question about the UK is a famous edge case that I had spent time exploring on my own. As we looked over a map together on the info desk computer, I was excited to see one of my personal interests transform into specialized help that I can offer as a library assistant, and it was a privilege to watch the conversation play out live and share mutual enthusiasm with the patrons. After our conversation, I continued reading about the UK at the desk. This moment, among others, inspires me to continue celebrating and contributing to the sharing of information, face-to-face exchanges, and the precious institution of the library. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Reina Manzano. I'm currently a senior in the Food Systems Nutrition and Health program, and I also work at Odegaard Undergraduate Library, and I am one of the student specialists. And as for a short little fun fact, I hand make some plushies, but you'll find that out in the very end. But yeah, at first glance, I assumed that working at a library was solely centered around handling and distributing books. However, I soon realized that working in a library goes far beyond a job. It opens doors to meaningful connections with individuals who are like me, aspiring to advance our knowledge in our fields and to meet new people in every aspect of campus, especially at the University of Washington libraries. After a year of working at Odegaard Library, I sought to infuse more creativity into my role as a student specialist by initiating a quarter-long book display project. Throughout the fall quarter of 2023, in collaboration with one of Odegaard's technicians, M. Reedy, we curated a display dedicated to arts and crafts in preparation for the Makers Fair. This is a quarterly event dedicated to presenting the creative talents, distinctive crafts, and innovations of UW students, faculty, and staff, serving as a valuable platform for entrepreneurial-minded students to launch their unique artistic endeavors. At first, we intended to tailor this display to current small business owners who are also students at UW. However, it goes beyond these businesses, as it's equally beneficial for students who are just starting their small business journey. In this way, this display served as a versatile resource, accommodating a diverse range of individuals and contributing to the creative and artistic spirits at UW. In the end, we successfully curated the arts and crafts display, featuring over 40 books, encompassing a broad spectrum of artistic endeavors such as crocheting, knitting, sewing, digital art, claymaking, and so much more. This project was fulfilling to me, as it inspired students to discover their hidden talents for art. I recall one patron checking out a book from this display and talking to me about their current artistic projects, expressing their excitement to participate in the upcoming Makers Fair for the first time, especially crocheting flowers to make long-lasting bouquets. Being able to directly witness how this impacted students made me happy, whether or not they were planning on participating in the Makers Fair, knowing that they were making a piece of art, either to cope with school or just for the fun of it, was rewarding. And this project not only aligned with my passion for creating my own art form, sushi cat plushies, but it also made me find an artistic community that I can belong to at the UW. Being able to share my knowledge and resources at the library for creating arts and crafts made me overjoyed, as we are recognizing the substantial time, care, and effort invested by these small business owners in creating each product. As an artist, as well as a current student who has participated in the Makers Fair, I constantly encountered a positive environment with supportive peers and fellow makers. And in essence, my experience with the UW libraries has empowered me to encourage students to be inspired, as well as to create handmade artworks that resonate with their genuine passions. And as promised, I actually brought my sushi cats. Here's a little sushi-sized cat, and then them being displayed in a little bento box. But yeah, overall, thank you so much for this opportunity, as well as listening to my short speech. Thank you.
Thank you again to Braden, Hannah, and Raina for sharing your essays, for sharing your stories, and the impact of working in the libraries and what you've discovered. In fact, all our student essays are really fantastic and worth a read. So now I'm going to have to get help with this. There's Raina is there. They are. So there's a binder over just to the right there. For me, Brian's holding it up. So most scholarship recipients have also submitted recorded remarks, and we will share those recordings in a post-event email to all attendees. But if you have a moment, please do check out the essays that are in the binder there. They're really fantastic. So once again, I would like to extend our gratitude and appreciation to our various generous annual and endowment donors that make all of this possible. And if you would like to join the 758 donors that are listed in our program, we always welcome your involvement by contacting our libraries advancement folks to discuss this and other ways you can support the library. And that contact information is available in your program. I would also like to take a moment to acknowledge and thank all of the fantastic folks who have helped put all of our this event and our Library Scholarship Program together. First of all, the members of the Library Scholarship Committee, Libraries Organizational Development and Training, Libraries Advancement, Libraries Finance, and also Libraries Facilities. So just a round of applause. All the folks who So in just a moment, we are going to continue our celebration. We have a lot of fantastic food right behind you there, and I hope you'll take a moment to stay and personally congratulate our student awardees, as well as enjoy some fantastic food and conversation. Before we do so, let me also ask all of our student scholarship recipients, we would like you to just come in a second to the front of the room so that we can do a group photo. And that is the conclusion of the formal event, or the formal program of the event. So thank you again all for coming today. It's really fantastic to see all of our recipients and their family and friends and supporters. So thank you, and please stay and join us for some food and conversation. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Amay Gao, and I work as a student circulation specialist at the UW Bothell and Cascadia Library. My favorite part of working in the libraries is definitely the people, also the books, of course, but mostly the people, helping others, working alongside other people. It really helps promote growth and collaboration and teamwork. I just really enjoy working for the libraries. Working here has definitely helped me a lot as a person.
Hi, my name is Braden, and I work in the administrative unit of the UW Libraries doing communications work. My favorite part about working at the UW Libraries is getting to explore all the library spaces and all the resources that each library has to offer. It's a great way to get to know the university better and meet tons of interesting people. Thank you so much for your support.
Hi, my name is Cypress Payne. I am a linked data student specialist in cataloging and metadata services. And my favorite thing about working here has been the absolute care and effort that my supervisors and staff that I work with have put into giving me experience that will be helpful for me in my future career as a librarian myself.
Hello, my name is Hannah Morrison. I work in Odegaard Undergraduate Library as a student assistant in Access and Building Services. My favorite part of working in the libraries is shelving books, as well as helping patrons face-to-face and preserving the face-to-face interactions for academic research, and especially when I get to share a moment of mutual enthusiasm about a topic or a piece of material with patrons and all of the people that inhabit Odegaard Undergraduate Library. Thank you so much for your support.
Hello, my name is Katie and I work in central circulation. My favorite part about working at the UW libraries is interacting with lots of people. I really enjoy chatting with student employees about workload and classes and all different kinds of things, as well as full-time employees within the department and patrons at the desk and answering questions and helping check out books and finding books in the stacks. I really enjoy interacting with all the people throughout my day. Thank you.
My name is Martha Rivera, and I'm a master's student in Library and Information Sciences at UW. While earning my degree, I'm working as a graduate reference specialist at UW Tacoma Libraries. My favorite part of working in the libraries is the opportunity for real-world application of the materials and readings from my classes. I know that working at UW Tacoma Libraries will provide me with the tangible skills and knowledge that'll be instrumental in my future career in librarianship.
Hi, my name is Noelle. I'm in the Health Science Library as a student worker, and my favorite part about working at the Health Science Library is helping different people navigating through Health Science building, because it's a very confusing building, and talking to them.
Hello, my name is Reina Manzano. I currently work at UW Seattle at Odegaard Undergraduate Library as an Access and Building Services student specialist. One of my favorite things about the library is being able to express creativity within my position, especially in terms of community engagement. It's fun being able to write a question of the week and make a drawing design in the top corner and then see what library patrons, students, and staff have to say. And then just a little sneak peek, but here's some of my sushi cats since I talked about it a lot in my essay. But yeah, thank you!
Hello, my name is Sophie Mansour. I work for the University of Washington Press in the Business Administration Department. Previously, I worked for 2 years at the Tateichi East Asia Library in circulation and marking, as well as for the Japanese Studies librarian. My favorite thing about working at Teal was checking books out to the patrons and helping them find whatever they needed within the stacks, as well as taking inventory of our collection. At the University of Washington Press, my favorite thing is interacting with all the amazing people that work there and doing expenses at the end of the month.
Hi, my name is Steph, and I work at International Status, specifically at Slavic and Eastern European section. I love working in this environment because my colleagues and supervisors are very friendly and create a very positive atmosphere. I guess the best part of my job, the most enjoyable, is when I come across the books that come from the region where my father is from or from my hometown. There is always something special to see a title that comes from a place that you know very well, but you're very far away. So yeah, those are my favorite moments.
Hi, I'm Titi Dengwen. You can just call me Titi. I'm an international student from Burma. At the moment, I'm working as a Southeast Asian section student specialist at UW Libraries. What I love most about this job is it offers me a blend of challenges and creativity. Imagine working in a treasure trove of Burmese books, learning a whole new language system of transliteration, and getting to design and showcase an exhibit. For me, it's all about how small efforts can lead to big impacts and about playing a small role in changing the world, one book at a time. Fun fact about me, I love both drinking tea and eating tea leaf salad.
Hi everybody, this is Xiaoyu Sun from Health Sciences Library, and I'm currently a senior majoring in environmental health sciences. So my favorite part working in the library is to get a chance to explore a wide range of books and serials about public health and health related fields.